chronic heart failure. There are certain headings in the treatment of chronic heart failure. General measures and correcting the underlying etiology and removing the precipitating factors, prevention of deterioration of cardiac function, and control of congestive heart failure state. So first we will see the general correction of the systemic factors responsible for heart failure. Many diabetic people are developing cardiac failure. So because of under control of diabetes. So the blood sugar should be properly controlled with the OHS and insulin. Some people having heart failure due to thyroid function. Controlling the heart failure only is not enough. You should treat the cause also. That is, suppose if patient is hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism, you should treat the hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism because both will cause heart failure. Certain infections will precipitate heart failure, like viral myocarditis. So you should treat the viral myocarditis also. Suppose if heart failure is due to hypertension, you should control hypertension also. Treatment of failure features only is not enough. You should treat the etiology also. If there is hypertension not failure, you should treat properly hypertension. Then you have to treat the heart failure state. Now coming to the non-pharmacological therapy of heart failure. What is the non-pharmacological therapy? Usually, as you know, there is volume overload due to sodium and water reabsorption in heart failure patients. So it is better to reduce the salt intake. It should be less than 5 grams per day. Usually we take 15 to 20 grams per day. As there is excessive fluid and excessive sodium in the heart failure, it is better to control the salt intake less than 5 grams per day. Suppose if the patient is obese, obesity should be controlled. And if possible, it is better to do some physical exercise, not strenuous exercise, because stressful exercise will exaggerate the heart failure. Simple walking. So simple exercises should be done for cardiac failure patients. And if the patient is having habits of tobacco smoking, alcohol intake, it should be stopped. Tobacco smoking should be stopped and alcohol intake should be stopped. So these are the general measures. Reduce the dietary salt intake less than 5 grams per day and mild exercises, weight loss in obese patient, and stoppage of substance abuse like smoking.
220. Please.
Shana Jabin, switch off your mic. So general measures, reduce the salt intake less than 5 grams and in obese people, weight reduction, mild exercise like just light walking and stoppage of substance abuse like tobacco smoking and alcohol intake. These are the general measures. And minimize the medications which are responsible for worsening of the heart failure. So here you should know what are the drugs which precipitates the heart failure. The drugs which will cause sodium and water retention. Those are the drugs which will precipitate heart failure. Examples are NSAIDs, steroids. These are the drugs responsible for sodium and water retention. So, avoidance of NSAIDs and steroids better to properly treat the cardiac failure patients. And negative inotropic drugs like beta blockers. There is some controversy whether to use beta blockers or to stop the beta blockers. If you go to the classification of heart failure, NIHA CHF classification, New York Heart Association classification of heart failure, class 1, class 2, you can prescribe beta blockers. But in class 3, class 4, beta blockers are contraindicated. So you should have some knowledge about the usage of beta blockers in cardiac failure, especially congestive heart failure. NIHA classification, class 1, class 2, beta blockers can be utilized if there are no other contraindications like bronchial asthma. But in class 3 and class 4 NIHA cardiac failure patients, it is better to avoid beta blockers. But here you should know what is NIHA, New York Heart Association classification, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4. How to divide the severity of heart failure? For that, one forum is there, New York Heart Association, which classified heart failure into 4 types. Type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4. So, NIHA class 1, just remember the word ordinary. If you remember the word ordinary, you can easily classify. Symptoms with extraordinary works, class 1. Symptoms with ordinary works, class 2. Symptoms with less than ordinary works, class 3. Symptoms even during rest, that is class 4, NIHA heart failure. So if you remember the word, only one word, ordinary, that is enough to classify the NIHA heart failure. Symptoms with extraordinary works, class 1. Symptoms with ordinary work, class 2. Symptoms with less than ordinary works, class 3. Symptoms even during rest, that is class 4 heart failure. Symptoms, what are the symptoms? Here comes heart disease. Presence of heart disease is essential to classify NIHA with heart failure. Presence of heart disease with symptoms like fatigue, dyspnea, palpitation, chest pain. Anything need not be all symptoms. Symptoms of any of 4 with cardiac problem. Cardiac disease with dyspnea, fatigue, palpitation, or chest pain. So this is the way of classifying the heart failure. So in class 1, class 2, beta blockers can be prescribed. In class 3, class 4, beta blockers are contraindicated. This is about non-pharmacological treatment. Coming to the medical treatment of congestive heart failure. If you remember the pathophysiology of the congestive heart failure, you can easily arrest the progression of the disease of the heart failure. In the previous classes, I told you the pathophysiology, the pathogenesis of congestive heart failure. The main systems are RAS and sympathetic system. Whenever the cardiac output is reduced, there is stimulation of renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system and stimulation of sympathetic system. These two are responsible for all the manifestations of congestive heart failure. If you know this pathogenesis, we can arrest some steps in the pathogenesis of heart failure. So whenever there is activation of the renin, angiotensin and aldosterone system, there occurs increase in the renin activity and increase angiotensinogen release from the kidney. This angiotensinogen is converted to angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 is converted to angiotensin 2. This angiotensin is responsible for vasoconstriction and sodium water reabsorption and manifestation of cardiac failure. Along with that, aldosterone also responsible for sodium water reabsorption from the kidney and congestion of the whole body in congestive heart failure. Along with this, there is stimulation of the sympathetic system responsible for peripheral vasoconstriction, tachycardia. So we had to give drugs which blocks these steps. Examples are ACE inhibitors, angiotensinogen converting enzyme inhibitors, which will arrest the step from converting the angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. And ARBs, that is angiotensin receptor blockers. Examples of ACE inhibitors are captopril, enalapril, lisinopril. These are the some examples. If you give these things, this will inhibit the conversion of angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, thereby preventing the further steps in the development of the heart failure. But the problem with the ACE inhibitors is some people will complain cough. Commonest adverse effect of ACE inhibitors is cough. Then what to do? We have to switch over to the ARBs, that is angiotensin receptor blockers. What are the angiotensin receptor blockers drugs? These are nothing but losartan, telmisartan, and so many sartans are there. We commonly use telmisartan, losartan. This should be prescribed if patient complains of cough with ACE inhibitors. And next we have to go to the aldosterone antagonists, because aldosterone is also one of the chemical responsible for sodium and water retention and congestion in the whole body of a congestive heart failure patient. So we have to stop the function of aldosterone by giving aldosterone antagonist. The drug which is available as aldosterone antagonist is nothing but spironolactone. Spironolactone is the aldosterone antagonist. So we have to give spironolactone along with other diuretics. Those are loop diuretics, because aldosterone alone is not that much powerful diuretics. So along with aldosterone antagonists like spironolactone, it is better to give loop diuretics. Loop diuretics, so examples of loop diuretics are furosemide, torsemide, ethacrenic acid. We usually give furosemide, that is Lasix, and torsemide. These are available in the injectable forms and in the form of oral tablet form. So we have to give diuretics combinedly, which act as synergetically. Loop diuretics plus spironolactone antagonists. So examples of potassium sparing diuretics are spironolactone is one of potassium sparing diuretics. Next, Other pathogenic mechanism responsible for congestive heart failure is nothing but sympathetic overactivation. Sympathetic overactivation and stimulation of beta receptors producing tachycardia and overstrain over the myocardium. This should be arrested by giving beta blockers. So we have to give beta blockers in class 1, class 2 NIHA heart failure patients to reduce the burden over the heart by stopping the tachycardia and by reducing the stress over the myocardium. Commonly used beta blockers are carvedilol, so we have to give beta blockers. The commonly used beta blocker is carvedilol alpha beta blocker. Usually this is best beta blocker. Carvedilol we prescribe in class 1 and class 2 NIHA heart failure patients. Next pharmacotherapy group is nothing but digoxin. Digoxin is a glycoside which is previously very popular. It was using excessively in heart failure. But these days, loop diuretics and AC inhibitors have replaced the function of digoxin. But still digoxin has some role in certain conditions. Examples, congestive heart failure with atrial fibrillation with fast ventricular rate. The best drug is digoxin. So digoxin is best drug when it is given in congestive heart failure with atrial fibrillation with fast ventricular rate, because in fast ventricular rate in AF it reduces the ventricular rate by slowing down of the impulse in the AV node, which is very essential to maintain proper cardiac output in cardiac failure patient. So digoxin is very useful, but digoxin has cumulative toxicity. That's why you should not give every day daily. So it is to be given 5 days in a week only to prevent cumulative toxicity. If you give every day, it accumulates and produces some adverse effects. To prevent that one, we have to give digoxin in 5 days in a week. 2 days should be stopped. This is about rule of digoxin. So as I already told, loop diuretics, furosemide and bumetanide, ethacrenic acid, but torsemide also these days. We commonly use furosemide Lasix and torsemide, which are available in the parenteral form and in the oral form. Potassium sparing diuretics, among all potassium sparing diuretics, best potassium sparing diuretics useful in the treating in the congestive heart failure is nothing but aldosterone antagonist, that is spironolactone. That is spironolactone. I already told you about the ACE inhibitors. The commonly used ACE inhibitors are enalapril, captopril, lisinopril. So if patient develops cough, we have to switch over to the ARBs, the angiotensin receptor blockers like telmisartan, losartan. Beta blocker therapy is indicated in class 1 and class 2 NIHA, contraindicated in class 3 and class 4 NIHA heart failure, and commonly used beta blockers are carvedilol, metoprolol, bisoprolol. You should know contraindications for beta blockers. The contraindications for beta blockers are bradycardia less than 60 beats per minute, COPD, bronchial asthma, and prolonged PR interval, and heart blocks. These are the some contraindications for beta blockers. And coming to the vasodilator therapy in heart failure. Whenever there is hypertension associated heart failure, vasodilator therapy is useful whenever heart failure present with hypertension, because here we need hypertension to be controlled and heart failure to be controlled. Here we require vasodilator drugs. The commonly used vasodilator drugs are IV nitrates, IV sodium nitropside, and IV hydralazine. These are the commonly used IV vasodilators. Digoxin, I already told you, digoxin useful in heart failure with AF with fast ventricular rate. Other accessory therapy in heart failure are statins. Statins are lipid lowering agents. So atorvastatin is commonly used. Rosuvastatin, so many statins are there, which reduce the formation of cholesterol by inhibiting the enzyme HMA reductase inhibitor. So statins are useful in controlling the heart failure. So it is better to prescribe statins in heart failure. And drugs to be avoided in heart failure are drugs causing sodium and water retention. Those are nothing but NSAIDs, thiazolidines. These are nothing but anti-diabetic drugs, pioglitazone, rosiglitazone, which will cause sodium and water reabsorption. Those should be avoided. Metformin also it is better to avoid in cardiac failure because it exaggerates the lactic acidosis. So whenever a patient in heart failure, it is better to stop, avoid metformin. And other surgical therapies for cardiac failure are to prevent sudden cardiac death. It is better to use ICD, implantable cardiac defibrillators, because most of the times sudden cardiac death is due to ventricular arrhythmias. So to prevent ventricular arrhythmias, what is needed? Defibrillator. What type of defibrillator? Implantable cardiac defibrillator. So we implant in the body whenever the rhythm is sensed, like patient is going to get ventricular tachycardia, ventricular arrhythmias like ventricular fibrillation, immediately defibrillator will work and it will abort the development of the ventricular arrhythmias and prevent the sudden death. So indications for implantable cardiac defibrillator are class 3 and class 4 CHF patients with EF less than 35% and myocardial infarction patients with EF less than 30%. These are the some indications for implantable cardiac defibrillator. So coming to the one more word about cardiac resynchronization therapy. Cardiac resynchronization. What is resynchronization? In some cardiac failure patients, there is no proper synchronicity in the ventricular walls. That is desynchronicity. In the one part of the left ventricle, one part is contracting, one part is relaxing. In the same part of the chamber. That is desynchronicity. You have to resynchronize that ventricle. That is called cardiac resynchronized therapy. Then the whole chamber will act at the same time, either in the contraction form or in the relaxation form. Then the output is maintained properly. For that, we have to use cardiac resynchronized therapy. by placing some pacemakers, which will resynchronize the between the both ventricles. In that way, it is better to maintain proper cardiac output. But this is indicated in class 3 and class 4 NIHA heart failure patients and prolonged QT interval. These are the indications where you can utilize this cardiac resynchronization therapy. With this, I have completed heart failure treatment.